Good morning, everybody. This is Deborah Byrne from DBpsychology Services, known across social media as DBpsychology. Forgiveness, please, because our Facebook Live didn't work this morning due to technical difficulties. So I'm re-recording the Raising Your Positivity vlog now, and I'll post it up to all the social media and to our blog a little bit later on today. So as I was saying with the other video, raising your positivity, no one can be positive 100% of the time. If they are, then there is an issue there, and I would be very concerned about them. Most people would be, you'll have up and down during the day, you'll have up and down days, you'll have up and down weeks, and that's perfectly normal. It's a normal response to just living your life. But if you are feeling a bit down, you're feeling a bit down more than normal, there are a few things you can do to raise your positivity, and I've listed out about 14 different ways in which you can do that. You can pick and choose from the list to suit yourself, but I would suggest that you definitely include number one, which is your basic self-care. And I'll talk about that reason in a minute. Now, the benefits, of course, of raising your positivity is, it's huge. I've listed out a number of ways or a number of benefits as to why, raising your positivity is so important. Basically what you're doing is you're increasing your dopamine levels and your serotonin levels in your brain, and that in turn will improve your mood, improve your sleep, reduce your stress levels. It'll help with overthinking, and there are so many other benefits, and I've listed most of them out in the blog, so do check it out at www.DBpsychologyservices.com. Now, to move very quickly along, I'm not going to go into detail of all 14 tips. I'm going to take 6 of them this morning and just talk about those. The first one, as I said, will be about your basic self-care. Now, I always harp on, I don't care what you're facing, what issues you have, what mental health issues you have. If you do not get your basic self-care right, it is like building a foundation, like building a house without a foundation. The walls will crumble, the roof will fall down. It's just not going to work, guys. It is not selfish to have basic self-care. And I have a number of blogs up there on how to do that and how to, what it means to have basic self-care and to look after yourself. You cannot look after anybody else. You cannot do your job properly. You will get burnt out. You cannot run your own business. Again, you will get burnt out if you are not taking care of yourself. So I always say the basics of self-care are your foundations for you, for life. And part of those foundations I always include is meditation. So that is point 2 in the blog, and it is meditation. Any meditation that you can do will help improve your sleep, will help reduce your stress levels, and also help your overthinking. And your anxiety, depression, or anything else you're facing, form of meditation is actually going to help. I do always recommend mindfulness, but it isn't suitable for everybody. So if you can do even a 2-minute breather, a couple of times a day, or even start it off by once a day, then I would take that option. And I have listed out how to do a 2-minute breather in the blog, in this week's blog, so do check it out. I have also recommended journaling, because it's a wonderful way of getting all the thoughts that are in your head down on paper, keeping to-do lists. Again, get it all down, get it all out, whatever you're into. If you're into technology, then use technology. But if you're a paper and pen person like I am, then get it all down on paper. It gives your brain a chance to say, I don't have to think about it anymore. I don't have to overthink about what's going on. When I need to know the information I need to know, it's there, it's on paper, or it's on the phone, or it's on the laptop, wherever you're keeping it. And it tells your brain you can have a rest now. It's okay to have a rest. It's here when you need it. It's right here in front of you when you need it. So that is why journaling is very, very important. It doesn't matter whether you use a bullet point journal or whether you just journal in the normal way where you just let your thoughts flow. To-do lists are also brilliant. So, you know, I would recommend those and setting them up for yourselves. So anything at all where you can, you know, you're reducing the brain's overthinking, and the chance for the brain to procrastinate and the chance for the brain to go off on the washing machine tangent, it will of course raise your positivity. Now, the big one I think from this week's blog is your environment. And when I talk about your environment, I'm not just talking about where you live and where you work. I'm also talking about what you watch and what you interact with in terms of television and any sort of media, or, you know, newspapers or anything like that, or social media. So to take the first one, your home environment or your work environment, I would very much recommend that you declutter. Now, if it has become a huge problem for you, I would tackle your bedroom first. Because that is the place you sleep, and you want that to be, you know, as calm a place as possible. And I have listed out in a blog on sleep and improving your sleep and that, how to go about decluttering your bedroom. I always tackle there, you know, if you've had a good night's sleep, a lot of the time we can face an awful lot during our day, particularly if we're having a tough time. We can face it better when we've had a good night's sleep. And then I would go from there. I would declutter different rooms. If there is a small area anywhere that you can declutter that, and you can make it a calming space for yourself, where you can do a little bit of meditation, or just to help you breathe a bit better, to help you, you know, relax a bit better, then I would tackle that space then after you've tackled the bedroom. Now, as I said, your environment also involves anything you watch on television, be it television shows, the newspaper, you know, the news on TV, or a newspaper. It also includes your social media. Now, guys, there is nothing ever good reported on the news. So if you are having huge anxiety problems, depression, or any mental health issues, I would stop watching the news. I've done it myself. I just couldn't handle it anymore. If there was something important, somebody always told me. Somebody will always tell you if something important has happened. So you don't need to listen to the news. You don't need to listen to every news show, on the radio, or, through your computer or whatever, on the air every hour. You certainly don't need to do what my father used to do, which was watch the 6 o'clock news and then, switch channels and watch the next news and next news, next news. You don't have to do that. Make choices. Make a choice about what you're watching. If your anxiety is very high, watching a very fast-paced action, cops and robbers thing, or some sort of very fast-paced, shooting and all sorts of violence, that isn't relaxing, guys. That is not relaxing. If you need to reduce your stress levels, that is not relaxing. Okay, you may think it's relaxing because you're getting some sort of, disassociation while you're doing it, but all those images are going into your brain, and your brain doesn't know what's real and what is, in fact, just a television show or is the news. It thinks it's all reality. Everything is reality to your brain, and what we feed it, it takes as literal at that as is happening to you, and therefore, your adrenaline levels and everything is going to go up, 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 and it's going to feed into your anxiety, it's going to feed into your stress. It's no way to relax, and it's no way to raise your positivity. And the same with the social media. If you are seeing people, and let's face it, people will only post what they want you to see. So if in that case, you're saying, I can't live up to these people, I can't live up to all these standards, believe me, you're not living up to their standards, because their standards are not their standards. They are only posting what they want people to see. It is, I think the term nowadays is fake news. I don't like using it, but they're fake images. So they're not real. It's not reality. It's not the reality of their life. Give yourself a break and stop following these people. Cut them off. cut them out. It's just as bad as having a negative vampire in your life. You know, and I'll get to negative vampires in a minute when I'm talking about putting together a support team. So, you know, in terms of your environment, think about, you know, it's beyond what you see around you in terms of clutter or, you know, how you're actually living or working. It does involve what you choose to watch on television, whether you choose to, you know, tune in to the news, whether you choose to follow certain people that are having a negative impact on you. It's your choice. You can press the delete button. You can press the stop button. You don't have to watch that DVD. You don't have to watch that show on Netflix or whatever, you know, whoever you're watching, Sky or whoever you're watching it with. You know, you can press stop. You have a choice. So exercise that right. Exercise that right to say, I am going to raise my positivity. I am going to reduce my stress levels. I am going to reduce my anxiety levels, or whatever it is. I am going to help myself. You know, so have a think about that. It's something to think about. The next point I make in the blog is to get outside. Now, in terms of, we will be facing into the autumn and the winter very shortly. So my recommendation is always to get out at lunchtime during the autumn and the winter and the early spring months until we get the lovely long days back again. So lunchtime is the best time to get out then, because of, you know, that's when the light is at its brightest. So if you're somebody who suffers from SAD over the winter, then getting out at lunchtime is going to be your goal. Even 20 minutes is enough. You can incorporate it into a walk, and that will also, of course, raise your levels in your brain, and it'll help the dopamine and the serotonin. So, you know, you're going to be raising your positivity. The next thing I would suggest to you is your support team. Please put together a support team, even if it's only made up of one friend or one family member. They must be a true friend. They must be somebody you can rely on, somebody who's always there for you, and somebody who is certainly will, you know, you come away feeling more positive. You come away feeling supported. You know, in any conversation you have, you know they have your back and your best interests at heart. You know, of course you'll have a row once in a while. You know, that's natural. I'm not talking about the negative vampires. The negative vampires will suck you dry. It's always about them. It's they are using you. They're putting you down. They are, you know, making you feel bad, so in order to feel better about themselves. That is a very one-sided relationship. They are not your friends. They are not good family members to be around. So if they are a friend, it's time to delete. Hit the delete button. If it's a family member, it can be a bit more difficult to get rid of them, but you can limit your contact with them. You can reduce it right down to, you know, I'm very busy, and always have an excuse. Have your excuses ready to go when they want to come and visit, and you know, in time they will get the idea that you're not always available for them. In fact, you know, the less you see of them, the better. So if you can reduce any visual contact at all, would be good. And then if it's somebody that you have to have some contact with them, perhaps a phone call would suffice for a while until you get your positivity back up again, until you get your self-confidence back up again. So in that case, you know, you take control and you make the phone call, knowing that you're going to be stuck on the other end of the phone for half an hour or an hour, and you're going to have to listen to them go on and on and on, and you're going to feel bad afterwards. So, you know, you have something then to comfort you in a positive way afterwards, it's kind of a reward. Now, that would only be with somebody you cannot get rid of. So I'm talking about a parent or a sibling maybe that you cannot, you know, you feel can't break away from these people. I really can't. Anybody else, goodbye. I don't want to know you. Don't need you in my life anymore. You know, you're sucking me dry here. You're not doing me any good. Go. You have to be very, you know, you're gone. Very clinical. But the choice is yours. So, you know, the point is to have a very good, strong support team And if you have a physical illness or a mental health illness, that support team also includes your doctor, who is very should be very supportive of you. If you have a physiotherapist, an OT, if you have, a speech therapist, whoever it is, your consultant, whoever it is, remember, I've spoken about this before, you are in charge of that team. You're the head of that team if you need them to be. If you don't have a mental illness or, a disability where you're seeing people, then it just revolves around your family and friends. So always make sure they're the people that they have your best interest at heart, and you have theirs, and they're there for you. Sometimes friends are the family we adopt, so it will be our friends that we have in our sport team rather than family. So that's only 6 points out of the 6 tips out of the 14. So do check out the blog this week. It's at www.DeborahByrnePsychologyServices.com, and I will see you all next week, and hopefully Facebook will be working then. But I'm not holding my breath. I'm getting a bit tired of the internet. How bad the internet connection is around here. So I will talk to you again next week, and thank you all for listening. Goodbye.